So, welcome back to another group call, guys. We're celebrating Cairns and going to talk through some of our races. Who wants to kick us off? We've got 5 of the people that race Cairns there. Who wants to tell us about their race? Gray, you're sitting in a nice comfy pool over in Bali. Why don't you chime in and tell us about your...
Starting from the swim then? Or even the night before, I only had 2 hours sleep. My mind was racing, so it wasn't a good start. And in the morning, I was a little bit nervous, but the swim was actually not too bad. Going to the right first was pretty choppy. Had to stop a few times and spew, but then coming back, that current definitely helped everyone, I think, and dragged us along. So swim was all right. I think I was like a 1:43 pace. And then bike was good on the way out. And then I think once we got to Palm Cove with like 30K to go, it was pretty tough, and I definitely overbiked. And then I got Bree, when I came out of T2, I got Bree to tell me my overall time, because obviously I was going for under 5 hours. And then she said 3:32, 3 hours 32. So I had to run a 1:28 half marathon. So I was a big ask. And so I came out probably 4:10.
Your total time on?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to play around with my watch a little bit. I don't have to. Maybe I could probably just slide up and down and probably see it. I haven't done that yet. But yes, I knew I had to run a 1:28, and I ran out like 4:10 the first couple of K were 4:10 or 4:15, and then my heart rate was 174 for like the whole run. So that was pretty much it. And then I was just been slower and slower and slower. And then I saw Jesse and Taj. They both came past me with like probably 5K to go. Or even more than that. So yeah, I think I finished at 5:09 or 5:07. I can't actually. 5:09.
Yeah, 5:09.
But yeah, my heart rate was sky high for a lot of it. So.
Yeah. What would you do differently?
I don't know. Yeah, not sure. I think I just hadn't trained enough on the bike to kind of push the power that I wanted to and get the time that I want. And then the run, I reckon I should have probably just taken it easy for the first couple of K. I did the same thing at Busso 100. I saw Finney come out of T2 and then I ran behind him. And I was like, maybe I can keep up with him, and then obviously not. So probably the first couple of K, try to get my heart rate down and maybe forget about the 5 hours and try to execute better. And then take the first couple of K at a lower heart rate, get settled, and then go. But my legs were cooked. My hamstrings were pretty gone.
That's definitely the answer I was looking for, mate, is that first sort of 4 to 5K on the run. Even if we might not be getting the sub 5, we still want to execute the race as best we can, right? And it's really important to try and know our bodies and still stick to the plan, right? I've looked at your data and I've compared it to Jesse's, who you two actually, until the point of the start of the half marathon, you were virtually neck and neck on times, right? Your bike split, funnily enough, on Training Peak, both did 90.9 kilometers, and you were 2 seconds apart with the time.
Oh, that's crazy.
The bike split was, what we should have done is we should have lined you up in a swim to try and make sure that you come out together and then work the whole way together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Your run split, so you were neck and neck pretty much starting the half marathon, but your run split, am I cutting out here, guys, or am I okay?
No, all good.
Sorry. The run split it's just between yours. Jesse started slightly conservative, not even slightly conservative. He nailed his run, right? And you just went out a little bit too hard, and then you were hanging on, and then you've fallen off a cliff towards the end. Yeah. Especially, it made it worse a little bit for you. Once you saw the goal away, you probably start to think, oh, fuck, this isn't going to work, and I'll just drop off and protect my knee and everything like that as well.
Yeah.
Hands down, man, we would rather you execute that run really, really well and then get to the end and miss it by like 3 or 4 minutes, but still go, you know what, I fucking had my best race there. That's all.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll show you guys some data on that run between Gray and Jesse soon, but I'd still like to go through everyone's races first and hear from everyone. So thanks for sharing, mate, and I'm glad that you noticed on the run there. That's really
yeah.
All right, let's go to you, Jesse, seeing as you were on the half, and then Dan, because he was on the half as well. Tell us about your race, Jess.
Yeah, I think some of you guys know the lead up was shocking, but didn't make me think about the actual race at all, which may have been a good thing.
for those that weren't there, I'm just going to give a little bit of context here. Jesse's lead up was shambles. It was all over the place. Bags of foam. He didn't have his pedals. He didn't have his seat and clamp and everything like that. So he was frantic for the whole 2 or 3 days leading up to the race. There's one thing after another. He also stayed in Palm Cove, which made his life a hell of a lot harder for the last couple of days. So yeah, shambles for Jesse early, but valuable lessons, and it means when he gets to Busso, it's it'll be a lot easier. So you can continue now, mate.
Absolutely. So yeah, the race, the morning of, felt good. Jumped in the water. Didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of thinking I was going to be super conservative in the water. Came out still really good. Like, I think a bit quicker than what I was thinking that I was going to, so I was pretty stoked. Jumped on the bike and my power pedals weren't working, so I was like, all right, cool, let's just go the complete opposite I did in Gold Coast, which just be really conservative for the first 30. I was talking to this guy and we were chatting the whole way, just yo-yoing until the 30, which was cool, and then turned, and then I was like, oh, I've got to burn him, I've got to get rid of him because he wants to do a 5:30 and I want to do a 5. So started to go a bit harder, and then the last 30 was tougher. I'd probably say the last 10K, I was like, I am cooked. Just trying to keep my head down and my pace went down. And then the run.
Sorry, Jesse, that last 10K or last 20 to 30Ks of this race compared to the last, say, 30 or 40 of T100, keep in mind it's also a lesser distance. How are you feeling at this one compared to that one? I know that both you're sort of saying that you're a bit cooked, but did you notice a difference? Did you feel a little bit fresher at Cairns, or was it pretty similar?
Yeah, I felt fresher in my legs. I felt a bit sick in my stomach this race, where I feel like Gold Coast I was just cooked mentally, physically, like I cannot run. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Where this race, it was like, oh, I feel a bit ick, but my legs still feel fresh. And I think that's just from being conservative on the first 30. So I got out of the tee, put the bike in, and I was just in my head, I was like, I just need to chill for the first K and just cruise it. So I did, and there was a couple of times where I was like starting to get quicker, and I was like, what would Alex say? Just pull back. So I really tried to hold it the first K too. And then I just kept looking at my time because I was like, how close am I to the 5? And I was like, oh, this is going to be really tight. It could happen, but it's going to be really tight. And then, yeah, I just kept going, know that I could stick. Like, my heart rate was starting to get up, probably like the 4 or 5K.
Well, your heart rate was definitely up, but it's just such a slight difference between you and Gray is your heart rate's both like really, really high, but you're just that ever so touch below, and it just gives you a little bit more control. And then from there, you can just keep building. And then obviously you keep the goal within reach, and then you're starting to get closer and closer. You'll be able to grit your teeth a little bit more. But man, your run's really good. I might actually, well, once you finish sharing, I might actually show this now, the data on this, and then we can come back to Daniel. So, because we're on it now. But is there anything else with the run, like the finish and the last? Well, for Brad, I'm not sure Brad was in the group chatting as well. So, like, why don't you tell him what happened at the very end, because it was pretty memorable.
Yeah, so we got to I passed this guy in the Maple Movement shirt, and I was like, oh, hey, Maple. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I want to try and get sub 5. He's like, cool. So I passed him, and then the last 3K, 4K, he finds me, and he's like, oh, what do you need to get through? So then he paced me for the last 4K, and then Taj came up behind me, and he's like, where are you going? I was like, oh, you got to go sub 5. He's like, all right, cool. So then he kind of banded on as well, which was cool. So we had this 3 little amigos, and he was just yelling at everyone to get out of the way. And then, yeah, it was getting closer and closer, and the last 100 meters, I was 10 seconds away, and I was sprinting, and then 50 meters down the track, this big fella jumps in and tries to hug his family, and I'm like, fuck. So that I sidestep out of the way, and then just, yeah, felt like a bit of a movie, and just made it over the line by 2 seconds. So yeah, 4:59:58. So it was pretty cool.
You cannot write that script any better, mate. I love to see that. It's such a cool story to get your goal by such a small amount. I love that. I just, can't imagine if, say, Fitty was got 9:59:58 or something like that. It would just be so stressful watching it. So I'm kind of glad I was in the car on the way home from Palm Cove, because I would have been frantic watching it. Before we go to further, I'm going to go show you guys that data. But welcome to Emiliano. Emiliano has just signed up with us, guys. He's starting his program tomorrow. 2 kids over in Perth, absolute legend of a bloke. Really enjoying working with him already. So welcome, mate. And we're about to show you some data from Jesse and Gray's race now. Right, so I'm going to share my screen, lads. Let me know if you can see it. Just give me some thumbs up if you can see the screen. Beautiful. All right. So this first one here is Jesse. I just need to move this school thing. This is in my way. Hold on. All right. I can't see you guys anymore, but if you maybe just someone mention if you need me to. Yeah. All right. So this is Jesse. And then over here, this is Gray. Okay. So Gray did a 137. Jesse did a 129. And we're just going to look through some of the data here. So this is Jesse's first half. In fact, we'll look at Gray's first. This is Gray's first half. Come on, it's glitching hard because it's sharing. So we can see here, heart rate's at 173, paces at 427. And then second half, if we come down here, his pace drops to 444 average and his heart rate stays the same. So this tells us that he is absolutely hanging on for dear life. Like his heart rate's still super high, pace is dropping. It's just not where we want to be in a race, okay? So good learning curves here for Grace. If we dig a little deeper, we can also see, if we go to his third quarter, so 439. So he's just sort of getting progressively worse in pace, 449. Okay, so we went from originally it was like 427 in the first half. Then in the third quarter, he's dropping to 439, and then he eventually gets to 449 for the last 5Ks or so. All right, so progressively declining and heart rate staying relatively similar. Not exactly how we want to race this race. And then in contrast, if we're looking at Jesse's now, so again, just holler at me if you can't see what I'm showing you. But this is Jesse's first half. So 417, still come out hot, right? Like he's not leaving too much speed on the table, and his heart rate's still quite high, but just has control of this run. Hasn't gone out super, super crazy, and he's able to hold on really well. So if we look at the second half, he's gone from 417 and his negative split, he's now doing 411s, okay? And his heart rate's still increasing, which is good, okay? It's really fueled this well as well. And then if we dive deeper again into his third quarter, this is what's super impressive. This is really, really hard to do, guys. So in his third quarter here, he's got 414 pace. And this is like where this is the most fatiguing part of the race. This is the hardest part now once you get to 15Ks into the half marathon of a half Ironman. And then to be able to go and do this and still beat that time and go 407 pace for this last 5Ks. I know that Jesse's goal was right within reach. So therefore things like, wanting to attain the goal and a little bit more motivation to get it come into play there. But this is gritty and it's really difficult to do this. So it's a massive, massive credit to Jesse that he was able to go, first half, I'm going to lock in at 417s, and then third quarter, I'm going to lock in at 414s, continue to get better, and then I'm going to bring it home at 407 pace. And heart rate continues to climb. But if heart rate's climbing and consistently, and he's able to maintain that until the end of the race, that's perfect. That's good. He's nailed execution, right? But it's when if this race had been an extra 3 or 4 kilometers and Jesse falls off a cliff, well, then he's really not executed as well. Okay, but he's known his body well. He's done a lot of training. He's practiced this, and it's worked for him. And it's a credit to you, mate. I was really impressed looking at these numbers. So you should be really proud. Well done. If I go quickly back to Gray's and we look at, I didn't do this for Jesse's. I just wanted to do this for Gray's though. All right. So Gray's first quarter here, this is the first 5Ks. He came out at similar pace to Jesse, right? But he probably hasn't done enough running that Jesse's done. He's had a bit of a niggle with his knee and stuff like that. He wanted to attain the goal, so he's come out, and I love the fact that he wasn't left wondering. I don't think Daniel would necessarily agree with this, if I'm honest. Daniel would probably be like, no, we want to race. We want to, know where we're at. But I love the fact that Gray's gone, fuck it. I'm going to try. And it might blow up in my face, and we might miss it by 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to fucking give it a go. And I love that, man. Like, I really, really do. I think it's super gritty, and I think it's a credit to you. But in hindsight, if we know ourselves a little bit better, maybe we sit at 420s here or 422s, and you might actually end up, negative splitting, and you might still get your goal. So I think the execution is still more important than just sending it and hoping, right? We don't want to ever hope, but at the same time, I respect the fact that you tried and you weren't going to be left wondering. Okay. And then your second quarter was starting to already drop off quite drastically. So first quarter here, 416s, the next 5Ks, you found out pretty early on this wasn't going to happen. We moved out to 437s. This is where, like, if we can identify it sooner, if you can go, oh shit, I've tried at 416s, it's not going to happen. Pull it right back to 440s for a K, get your heart rate in check a little bit, then start to build again. Then we haven't been left wondering, and now we're still executing as best we can. Right. So that would be what I would recommend next time is if you do this again, which ideally we don't, but if you do, that's okay. Pull it back early as soon as you're noticing it. Let go of the ego of, fuck, I'm not going to get my race. And then just try and execute from that point out, all right? Any questions on Gray or comments or queries?
I think after 3K, I pretty much knew I was toast, and I should have brought it back. So,
yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. It's good that you notice that. Really good to go through this data. Can I just get a bit of feedback, guys? Is it pretty easy to see the data? Is it glitching a lot? Is it okay?
It's okay? It's fine. We can see it. It's good.
Cool. I'm sort of like umming and ahhing a little bit whether it's working, sort of getting in my own head. But if it's working, it's working. That's good. Any questions on that? Anyone on the comments? Daniel, what are your thoughts on that? I'm curious.
My thoughts. Well, I suppose it'll segue into my race plan and the way I approach mine. So I think that's the better way to do it.
That's here, mate.
Yeah, I suppose. So my race went really well. Sort of, I had a disrupted lead up where I injured myself just pre-Geelong and ran through and made that Achilles tendinopathy that I didn't know I had worse. So I really hadn't had much run volume, nothing with any pace at all, and I really didn't know what I was capable of. So I had to set pretty conservative goals, and that's what I did. I normally like to have sort of evidence and proof that I can do certain pace, and I really only had 2 sessions. One session said I could run a bit faster, and the other one said I was running too fast. So, but I had a big bike before that, so. I went in the middle and decided instead of going out too hot, because I've basically done that three run. Not that I've gone out too hot. I've had 3 poor runs in a row where it hasn't worked out well, and sort of had me questioning, can I actually run, or was the first time just a bit of a fluke? So the whole goal for me was just to enjoy the day and smile, and I absolutely nailed that aspect. I was so happy with the day. It's actually the slowest 70.3 I've done. But it's also, and I've done 2 where I actually walked as well, but that was Geelong. It was my fastest half marathon off the bike as well, and it was pretty conservative. So I was happy with that on a tough course. It's my best placing. I think I was 18th in age group. And I think every time I've been going up sort of a couple of places, so I'm starting to get a little bit more competitive, which is where I want to be. So other than that, the race for me was absolutely perfect to plan. I did everything I wanted to. There's a couple of times on the bike where I wanted to go and I sort of held back. I started to get sort of at that. I definitely under rode like I planned the first section, and it definitely got hard in that last 20 Ks. And I was starting to question, like my quads were just a little bit more cooked than I was expecting, and even that they were fine. I just had a few questions, so I just sort of backed things down slightly, and by slightly I mean like 3 or 4 watts. Just go on this and got off the bike and felt good immediately on the run. And yeah, the run, it was pretty much the whole time looking at my watch going, I want to run faster. I want to run faster. I want to run faster. So that was pretty much my whole day.
What was your heart rate doing on the run? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, it was where it needed to be. I think it was probably sitting around about 151, 152. Yep. So normally for me, like I'll run between 157 and 163. If I start going above 163, I'm putting out too much effort. If I get to 167, I can't hold that much longer than 2 or 3 Ks before I'm absolutely cooked.
Yeah. Okay. And how old are you again, Daniel?
41.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm not as young as all you guys, so it has to come down a little bit.
Just got to mention that like your threshold is probably going to be slightly lower than most of the guys in here, I would say. But I was not expecting it to be that high, what you would normally run at, but even up to 163, I wasn't expecting it to be quite that high. So
yeah, so that's I'm sort of pushing it at that. Like when I'm running along, if I'm seeing that number, I'm on the edge. That's 163 is my trigger to go, okay, this effort isn't sustainable for any longer than sort of 5Ks. Mm-hmm. So in Geelong, I was seeing that around about kilometre 3 or 4, and I'm going, what is going on? Slow down. Nothing was working. So one of those ones today where I just kept going, and normally if I get to the 14K mark and I'm still feeling good, that's when I start to send it. But I didn't. I just kept holding. So
impressive.
I held until I got to the airport, and then I just sent it. It was great.
I think what's even more impressive is that you're able to let go of any of that ego, any of that, like, I'm going to try and run faster, especially even more so because the sub 5 was so close. I think you ended up with 503, was it, or something like that?
503, but I didn't even look at my time the whole day. Like, I wasn't worried about that. I was solely focused on the execution of it. I didn't care what the time was. The time will be where all I wanted to do was go out and execute exactly what I wanted. And that's why I came across the finish. I wasn't happy because I'd done that. I was happy because I did everything I came here to do.
Let me ask you quickly, will that be the same when you go to Nice, or will you be looking at the clock and the time at Nice?
I won't be looking at the clock all the time. It will take care of itself. Same thing. I'll be executing my plan. Now, I sort of knew sort of the range. I get pretty good data of what I'm going to be arranging, and I've got my own custom app that I made, which basically does really well at that. So I know. So I'll have a time range, and normally my range, it's normally a half-hour range, and I've never ever came either side of that range. Actually, I came under it once, and that was my first in Geelong. But other than that, it's always been somewhere in between that range. So normally I know within half an hour where I'm going to finish.
And I just can't get my head around it because I'm constantly looking at it while I'm running. But you won't look at the overall time or your splits and stuff like that and do the math throughout the race. You don't really know where you are.
So when I get out of the swim, I took a look. I'm at 31. That's good. I was expecting to be around about 30, 33, 34. The swim was 100 meters short, so I reckon I probably swam around about right.
You had a bloody current for 70% of it.
And we had a current as well. So, yeah, I reckon that was about right. Then the ride was a very conservative and slower one for me as well, which I was fine with.
On your bike computer, have you got the timer there? Like, can you see?
So yes, I know what time I'm biking.
You roughly know where you're at any given point in the race, but you're never watching it going, I fucking need to get under this sort of thing.
And in the run particularly, I wasn't watching it and going, I need to go 3 minutes faster to go sub 5. So in Nice, I will probably take a cheeky look and see where I'm at. But for this one, that metric would have got in the way of my execution because I would have gone, okay, I want to be 3 minutes faster than where I'm at, and that could have caused me to stray from my plan.
That's all I wanted to hear. I got it out of you eventually. Nah, boys, I think we can take a lot from Daniel here. Is like executing a race it's going to make the time the smallest that we can, right? If we learn to execute the race as well as we can, you will get the lowest time possible, and that's what we want to focus on. But as someone who started this whole journey based off a time goal, it's hard for me not to, add value to, add importance to those times. So it's a little fine line that it'll be fun to play with.
And don't get me wrong, I do have time goals, okay? So I do. And when I went sub 5 first time at Geelong, same thing. I was just, when I saw it was possible, I sent it.
I mean, if you didn't, you'd never have stories like Jesse. Those stories are just the best,
Exactly. Imagine if he came over at 5:01 and he's like, I didn't watch didn't watch my watch. I was just trusting the process.
Exactly right. Or even worse, Taj Watson bloody not shaving his legs and getting 5
Taj,
Boys, anyone in here, if you're doing a half Ironman or an Ironman, please fucking shave your legs, okay? You will save time, I promise you. Do your arms as well, because you might be the difference between a sub 5 and a not sub 5, which it was for Taj on the weekend.
Hey, Alex, do you reckon you're going to chat to Jamie Riddle? He's now sitting 4th. 1 slot left for Nice, and there is a bloke up his ass. Do you reckon he's checking the clock?
He will be.
He is currently
he'll be checking the
10
guy
Ks to go.
Yeah, he'll be checking the guy behind him for sure, 100%.
He needs a sub 10 coach.
I'm a little bit off Jamie Riddle, actually. There's more on that later. We'll talk about that later.
Ooh,
yeah.
Fuck, a bit of controversy. I don't mind that.
I think I just had this conversation with Finn or someone in here. I've definitely spoken to about this. Yeah. Anyway, that's for when we're recording this. We're not going to get into this now.
I'm going to hang around afterwards, though.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Moving on to our full distance athletes here, Liam Moseley and Finn Howard. Boys, congratulations. Doing an Ironman it's no joke, and I'm really, really impressed with both of your races. To both of you in different aspects, to be honest with you. So I'm really excited to hear your take on the races, and then we'll go through some data and talk about them as well. So Liam Moseley, why don't you kick us off, mate? How did your race go?
Mine was pretty solid overall for where I'm at. My lead up, I decided to spend a few extra days up in Cairns before to sort of just get used to the environment, heat and whatnot. And I'm glad I did. It was so much more relaxed hearing what Jesse had to go through. So I'm glad things were chill for me. But I had a good night's sleep. Carb load went well. So with the swim, I went out right behind Finn. And I know Finn's like a little bit better swimmer than me. So he was like the ideal candidate to sit on their feet. And I did that for probably a good chunk of it. Every like 500 meters, I would lose him and then find him again, and then just jump back on his feet. So that was great. Finn just sort of towed me along, and then
hope you bought him a beer after.
Yeah, I did tell him afterwards. I was like, I was on your feet the whole time, because he came out of the water. I think he kicked in the last few hundred meters. He came out of the water about, I think, a minute ahead of me, or a little bit. I started to fade after 3Ks. But yeah, for the first lap and a half, I was on his feet, and then went through transition. I wasn't quite racing like Finn was, so I took my time a little bit more in transition, just got my breath, let the heart rate come down, and then set out on the bike. Felt pretty good for the first lap, or way up to Port Douglas on the bike. But then the rain hit, and the rain was pretty brutal. And like, I got to the Rex on the way back for the first time, which is the hill, and thought I'd try be brave in the wet and ride down the hill on the aero bars, but started going a little bit wide. So I was like, after that, I was like, all right, no more. I'll just sit. And then all the marshals there trying to tell you to slow down, because that many people stacked it. So just being up on the bars and tense while you're trying to slow down and brake, I think it just cost a lot more energy than I'm used to using on the bike, or I do, because a lot of the riding I do in Melbourne is a lot more flat than what that was. So I think that was something I probably wasn't as prepared for. So that cost me in the last sort of 40 Ks back into town. Basically, after the final time you go up Rex and back to Cairns, after that last climb, I just didn't have anything what I had left.
How was nutrition going, and did you manage to find a group at all?
So I was basically by myself. There was no one around. There was this one chick that was near me on a disc, but she was a lot lighter and sort of slower. So like anytime we were on the flats or down a hill, I would pass her. But every climb, she would work her way back up and pass me, or get next to me again, and then just to descend, I'd pass. So that was about it. Otherwise, I was either passing people or people were passing me. There was no group I got to stick with, which was a bit frustrating, but is what it is. Otherwise, nutrition though, I was pretty happy with my nutrition. There was one portion halfway through where I was just not I don't know. I got confused. I was meant to drink a bottle over a certain time, and I actually drank it too quickly. So there was a little portion where I just waited because I didn't want to start my next bottle of carbs too early, because then I'd pay for that on the back half. So and there was no aid station for that part either, so I had to wait a little bit. But that didn't really affect me, because the next aid station I just grabbed some extra water, and that was fine. I did get thirsty towards the very end though, because there was no aid station sort of for a while when you're coming back into town, and I did basically run out of water for the last sort of 20 minutes, but the run was coming, so it didn't really affect me. But the run was really good for me. I thought I was going to struggle, especially with how the last 40 Ks on the bike felt. But I got off on the run, settled into my pace that I thought. I consciously made efforts in those first few Ks to keep slowing myself down, because I'd look at my watch and I'd be going 20 seconds faster than I wanted to. I was like, all right, no, slow down. And I think that worked well, because then I just, after sort of like 4 or 5 Ks, found my pace and just sat there for the rest of the race and held that basically the entire marathon, really.
So that's super interesting. I'm just going to cut in there a little bit, man. You said it took you about 4 to 5 Ks to find that pace. That's not a short period of time, boys. Like, that's a long time to get off the bike, get your legs back, find your rhythm, going, he's probably going a little bit too fast, then slowing down, a little bit too fast, slowing down, a little bit too fast, slowing down, for 4 or 5 Ks before he goes, right, found it. Okay. And I think this is a really good learning curve. I said before that it's hard, like what Jesse did is really hard to do. What Liam did is even harder to do, right? Getting it right in a marathon is so much more difficult than doing it in a half. So if I can get any message across to you guys, is like, be super patient for the start of a marathon, especially in an Ironman. If you're doing a marathon standalone, do the same thing. But if you're doing a marathon in an Ironman, be super patient for that first 3, 4, 5 Ks, all right? Like, just find your rhythm, and then like you've got another 37 Ks to do the work, right? You're not gonna go super slow at the start. You won't just do whatever it is. But then you've got 37 Ks after that to do the work. And you should be thinking, right, I'm going to find this rhythm that Liam's talking about now in this first 3, 4, 5 Ks. Once I've got it, I know I've got 37 to go where I can then lock in. And mate, you did it flawlessly. Like, for your first one as well, it's so crazy. And I mean, I think we've spoken about this a little bit, you and me, about you being a little bit more of a conservative athlete than everyone else. Yeah. And a little, I'm not going to lie to you, man. In my eyes, I'm not like that at all, right? Like, when I went out at Cairns and when I went out at Bus, I still went out too hot. And a little part of me was like, fuck, I wish Liam would, grit a little bit more and like push a little bit more in training sessions and stuff like that. But man, it is your biggest weapon at Ironman. Maybe not at 70.3, maybe not. But at Ironman, dude, your patience and your conservatism is just your biggest weapon. It is so good how you ran that marathon. And I was really, really impressed. So big clap to you, buddy. Well done. Really.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Anything else on that before we dive onto Finbar, who didn't nail the marathon, but did pretty much everything else perfectly?
No, that was it. Marathon sort of came to me, and especially I think for me, the reason I was so wanted to pull it back is because I've never even ran a marathon by itself as well. So that also played into me being a bit more patient, I think, because I didn't quite know where I would fall. Even though I knew where I wanted to and where I thought I was, I've still never ran that, so I don't know what it feels like beyond 30-odd Ks.
Yeah.
So
I'll show you guys all Liam's data in a moment, but literally, like, it's like really steady for the first 4 or 5 Ks, and then he just builds and builds, and he's holding pace, and I'm not going to lie to you, man. When I saw the pace that you started at, and I'd seen Finney starting to bonk, I was like, oh shit, Liam's in for a back half of this marathon. I just thought, like, I was like, I don't know whether he's going to be able to, execute this as well as we want. And I was a bit concerned. But then I remember, like, we dealt with Finn, and Finn was like, regrouping a little bit after his race. And I remember coming back to the tracker, and I saw you running, and you were moving so well. You were moving as well, if not better, than when you started the marathon. And I was just looking, I was like, holy shit, we've only got like a lap and a half to go. And he's just like steaming still. So I was so happy for you, dude. It was a really good goal.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Mr. Sub 10. Big Finn Howard. Congrats, buddy. First sub 10 athletes.
Yeah, thank you.
How good's that? Why don't you give us the rundown, mate? Well done.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, I guess I definitely was not confident leading into this race. Like, I never like publicly said it, but I'm sure Alex could tell by my body language. And like Taj had a few pep talks with me because I was not feeling too good. I've had like a bit of a knee niggle and I wasn't sleeping too well. So that was definitely in my head a lot. And I feel like I didn't get one good sleep like the whole time I was in Cairns. So that wasn't good. But I think the morning of the race, we just tried to pick up the vibes, tried to convince myself that I wasn't tired. But after seeing the swim conditions, I think that will change. And I was like very much doubting myself and the nerves were there. And I was like, this is impossible. Yeah, so it got the swim started and yeah, it just got worse and worse and worse every second in that water. And there was like multiple times in that swim I was like, I can't even finish this swim. How is this Ironman possible? Like I was just like out of energy, just felt super weak. But I just told myself I do this swim length every single Friday. If I can just finish this swim, then I can make up my mind after that. And obviously we eventually made it to the swim finish line and then it was go time. It was the bike and that's my favorite. So I wasn't giving up there.
I don't know if anyone's seen the footage of Finny coming out of T1, but she's got his bike in one hand and he is just fucking steaming down the chute. He's just like man on a mission, ready to get to work. It was pretty cool.
And also my watch, I think someone must have kicked it or something, so it stopped. So I had no clue if I was in there for a million hours. I just didn't know. I just didn't know, so I just had to go for it, and I just got on the bike, and I was planning to take on caffeine maybe like 2.5 hours in, 2 hours in, around there, but I was just instantly just super flat. So straight away I was pumping caffeine, getting in the carbs straight away.
How much caffeine do you have like early doors?
Yeah, but I think 20 minutes in, I was like really feeling it. And then I waited to 30 minutes and I was like, okay, I need this now. If I'm feeling it now in like an hour, I'm going to absolutely bonk. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I took it on like half an hour in. And yeah, I mean, and then throughout that whole ride course, the conditions just got worse and worse and worse. Like Liam was saying, like everyone was crashing. Everywhere you looked, there was an ambulance or someone crashing. I think to my advantage, I'm an ex-mountain bike rider. So like a lot of the downhills, I was able to push a little bit harder and lean into that a bit more where other people weren't. So that really helped with my average speed. And also like Liam said, like that last like 60, 70K was just brutal. So lonely and just depressing. You just wanted to
tell us about your nutrition on the bike, because we didn't plan for you to have as much as you did, and obviously with our Metric Fuel sponsor Daniel in here as well, so give them a little shout out as well.
I mean, I managed to. I think my hourly was like 145 grams an hour with no discomfort. So
what did we plan?
I planned 120. Alex actually advised me to go a little bit under that for a race because of higher intensity, but I still went with the 120. And yeah, I was probably going through a bottle every 40 minutes, and then between that, at every single aid station, I was filling up my front hydration bottle and then like pouring the rest of the bottle on me and then just ditching the bottle. So I was going through a lot of liquid. And then I think the last like 40 minutes or an hour or so, I just ran out of everything. So it was just like all gels from aid stations.
Man,
And yeah,
it's actually crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and then also like,
sorry to interrupt you there. I know that you were carrying extra caffeine that we had sort of said only at emergencies or only if you need it and stuff. You tucked into that pretty early, did you? That's what you were, getting like straight away. So then you had all of that, you had all the nutrition in the bottles and stuff, and then you were still grabbing gels.
Yeah, so I was already in a like 150 gram surplus by like just over 4 hours.
Crazy. And no GI distress on the bike, didn't affect
you. Not one bit, nothing.
I mean, I don't see any negatives in taking that on, to be honest with you. If I'm honest,
yeah, I think maybe the amount of fluid intake may have helped because in training, like obviously stops limited and stuff, so it's probably more like concentrated. And I have more GI issues like training, like just that slight little bit of discomfort. But it was nothing. It was really good.
It's a little bit bizarre as well because you're at higher intensities. 2, there's probably actually it was raining, but Cairns is like more humid and stuff than Busselton or Bunbury where you are. So all of these signs probably lead towards more likely to have GI distress, and then you've had way more fuel than we intended, and you've been absolutely sweet. So definitely seems like a bit of an outlier, but mate, like if you aren't having issues and your body's craving fuel, if you're reaching for fuel and you're not having any issues, fucking get it in, man. 100%. This goes to everyone. Like if you are like hungry or wanting fuel and it's there and you're not having any issues with your gut, then keep getting it in for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I've never done this, so I was a bit in like no man's land, but I was like, I can feel I need energy. So I kept getting it down me and it worked. So
good.
Yeah.
And then tell us about the run.
Yeah, got onto the run, had a pretty quick transition. And honestly, from the start, my first thing to go was my feet, like both my arches in my feet. I think it's just from the carbon shoes. They just went so numb. And I was like, this is going to be the end of me. My feet are just something's going to happen. But by kilometer 5, they went completely numb. So that kind of got rid of that issue. Not ideal, but
why do you think why do you think it was so numb? Because you don't have that in training, do you?
No, it was just the carbon shoes. I don't know. They were definitely more sensitive that day.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Does anyone here, Daniel or anyone else, sorry to cut you off there, Finn, who's doing much training in carbon shoes? Anyone? No?
Yep.
I do it in the lead up to races. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe like the last 3 to 4 weeks, I slowly started introducing my race shoes.
Okay.
But only like certain, like run off the bike's probably the biggest one. I do that every week, and then a few thresholds for some of them, and then maybe part of one long run. Like I might put it on for the race effort if I got it, but that's it really.
What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm similar to Liam. So my race ready session, so my run off the bike. So I'll do a 14K off the bike. That'll be on my race shoes. 12K off the bike, race shoes. When I was training Ironman, same thing. I think I had a 30K progressive run. That was in race shoes. So basically, I want to use them in conditions that I'm going to be in race day, so that if I get anything similar to Finn, I can try and work out what that is.
Cool. All right. I like it.
But unfortunately, you end up with 2 pairs of carbon shoes and drop extra money. So
I guess
I think definitely I want to implement using more carbon shoes, but very, very slowly. Like, obviously, I got through that marathon, but it'd be nice to get through that marathon a lot more pain-free. I think I've got weak feet, so just building them muscles to really be able to withstand the rigidity and like, yeah, off the carbon shoes is pretty important. So yeah.
All right.
I got a question, Finn.
Yeah.
What shoes do you normally train in? Like, how many training shoes do you have?
I got the Glycerin 22s, and I just got a new pair the other day of, I don't even know what brand they are.
But do you normally do like all your training in the same shoe, basically?
Yeah. I think that also be one of my problems. My feet have just really adapted to one shoe, and it's
Yeah.
not with that like muscle versatility. It's working just the same muscles over and over. So I think it might be good.
I found this year before like Geelong and this, I picked up an extra tempo shoe that it technically has a carbon plate, but it's not a very aggressive. It's just the Nike Zoom Fly.
Yeah.
And that helped. So because the first time I ran in the Alphas, I struggled as well. But this at Geelong and Cairns, the Alpha Flies were fine for me because I think I had a little bit of carbon exposure just from tempo sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I guess for the rest of the run, I was feeling okay for like 15 kilometers. The game plan was to go out slow at like 5-minute pace, but that didn't happen. I was feeling really like I felt strong. My feet were fucked, but I felt strong. So I was holding like 440s for the 15K, and then from like 15 to 27K, I was really hurting, but I was holding on to that 440 pace super consistently. But by the time 27K came around, I just absolutely crashed and hit the wall, and I started walking for like 3 minutes.
Can you elaborate on that 3 minutes there? Because
when me and Alex looked at the data afterwards, I was like, yeah, I probably walked for 30 seconds. Like it felt like the shortest walk ever, but.
And I looked at the data and I was like, it says 3 minutes, mate. He was like, 3 minutes? And then I was like, the data doesn't lie, dude.
Yeah, I think I was just hurting so bad. And I was walking so slow. There was like this old guy that would walk past me. And I wanted to die. I was like, this is impossible. I can't finish this race. But I picked myself back up and yeah, I thugged it out for the last 15K or whatever, and that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Well, I think we all know the answer, I think, but what would you do differently, Finn?
Well, number one, have a better prep. I think that's the main problem here. Like the biggest run I did was 25K, like 5 or 6 weeks ago. And the last like month I had no intensity, no really solid good run sessions. So I didn't 100% know where I stood. But then stick to the race plan is number two. So
I would much rather you flip those. I would much rather you say number one is I would stick to the race plan, and number two I would rather have a better prep. Okay.
Yeah, I guess just with the I just didn't. It was a bit of a guessing game in the run as well. It was like the whole time, even from the start, I was like, I just got to go for it because I think I'm going to blow up because I haven't done this, and like I was just the whole day I was constantly fighting the idea that I'm going to blow up any second because I was just so fatigued. I should have been more disciplined though, 100%.
Good.
100%.
I said it in my in the little post. Like you have something that it's hard to train, Finn. That mental resilience, that mental toughness, that grit to be able to go, I'm gonna fucking stick to this. It's really hard to teach that, buddy. So that's number one. Is like it's a credit to you, dude. You did something that was so hard to do, and that's amazing. But hands down, and now everyone in this chat knows that you're coming on as a coach here at Sub 10. One of the biggest things you need to learn before you start coaching is that executing well at where we're at is the goal always, right? And you hadn't done enough running to warrant going out and holding 440s for a whole marathon. We knew that, right, going in. And you're young and it was your first one, and I'm being super critical here because when I did my first one, I did the exact same thing, but way worse than you did it, right? So like it's just a learning curve, buddy. But when if we'd gone out at 5, you would have felt so strong, man. You would have felt so strong at 5 for 10, 12, 15. And then from there, you've still got like, that 27K to go. Then you can build and then you can start bringing that time down. And one, you enjoy the experience way more. And two, you probably perform slightly better. But very critical, man. You did awesome.
Totally agree.
Yeah, cool.
100%.
Any questions, queries, concerns from anyone here about Finney's race, about any races, about anything else?
The only question I've got, it comes down to sort of that execution. I've sort of been experimenting with it over the last 2 years of being conservative and then perhaps trying a few things. I try and do it more in training rather than in races, but then I've tried it in training. And every time I try and push past what it says I can or against my better judgment, it ends up poorly. Has anyone ever gone, actually, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to run faster than it says I can, and actually been successful with it? I haven't yet.
If I'm gonna be devil's advocate here a little bit, but I'm on your side, Daniel. I want you to know that.
Oh, no, it's a genuine question. I'm trying to find it out.
I'm definitely on your side, but I went out at 4:35, 4:36 at Busso, roughly, and I was running 5:05s for the last 5Ks. So I've hit a wall, right? Like I'm 30 seconds slower than when I started. I haven't executed that race correctly, but I've still got sub 9, which is, I mean, maybe I would have got less than what I did before, but I think banking that in that moment a little bit early, I sort of kept the goal within reach, and then I could sort of, I guess, use what Jesse might have had, whereas like the goal's there, I'm going to keep going, and maybe Finn had the same thing in his race. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here and having a conversation. I'm on your side, and I completely agree. But maybe
mine's out of genuine interest. So I want to dive more into that later, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think maybe like if we're just looking at the other side of the spectrum there, like in Finn, myself, and Jesse's case. Actually, Jesse nailed it when it's separate. But Finn and I in Busso and Cairns, respectively, because we've gone out probably a little harder than we could have to maintain that whole pace. That sub 9 and that sub 10 has stayed within reach for longer periods of time, and it's easier to see it. So therefore, we can maybe hold on a little bit more. But that's just one end of the spectrum.
I totally agree with that. That was bouncing in my head a lot. Like if I just hold this for a little bit of time, I've 100% got sub 10. And that I think that really powered me on in the end. Like if I was like maybe sitting at like 10 hours and 5 minutes or 10 hours and 10 minutes, might have felt more out of reach.
Yeah,
that's the exact reason why I asked it. So. Good.
Cool. It's already been an hour, guys. Would you like me to show you some of Liam and Finn's data, or we want to wrap this up? It's pretty late. It's up to you guys.
I've got to shoot off, but you guys can carry on if you need to. I've got to go to dinner.
I think we'll call it, guys. I might, we'll leave it there. It's already been quite long, and we've sort of talked about everything here, and you guys get the message. So very much appreciate all of your time, guys. It's been
I got one question. Sorry. Nope. Did you end up having 850 milligrams of caffeine in total for your race, Finn?
I'm pretty sure. Whatever my...
So like 500 on the bike and then 300. Because I was asking Alex at the end of the race, I was like, how much caffeine do you reckon Finn's going to have? And we're like, maybe like 400 or 500, similar to what I even had just for the half. But then 850 milligrams of caffeine, is that like way too much for an Ironman, or is it?
It's just I think it's all depends on your person. Like I haven't trained with that much at all ever, so it was a lot for me. But it was nice to see I could handle it, and I was fine.
And if you really need it and it makes a difference, then you just can keep going. There's no like health issues of like going too crazy when you're using it. I mean, like
drastically. I mean, you can have elevated heart rates and like sometimes jitters if you're having way too much stuff. But I mean, if your body's handling it well, I'll give you another example. Gray, Josh, one of my mates, you met him actually. I'm pretty sure at the thing. He had over 1,000 milligrams and he won his age group. So he had 3 Red Bulls before the race. He went aggressive on caffeine, and it's not my strategy, but I like to use caffeine when fatigue's hitting, and then it brings me back a bit. But.
Is there concerns when your heart rate's that high and you're pumping caffeine in? Is it like heart attack spec on, like, you know what I mean? Like, does it get to that point, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. Daniel, do you have any?
Like,
I actually don't. It's definitely not something I'm going to go offering advice on. Say, no, you definitely won't have a heart attack. Have 200 grams of it. You'll be fine.
I think we might avoid.
I think there's probably a limit. The limit I found wasn't hard. So Cairns last year for me, where I had, I think it was a ridiculous amount, like 600, 700, 800 milligrams, but within a space of 2 hours. And that's what set me. That got me the jitters, numb, like tingly face, all those sorts of things. So those sorts of warning signs will definitely kick in first. And you'll probably not want to have any more. So.
Yeah.
So, cool. Jesse, did you have something to say there? I think you were talking.
I was just saying, like, I did the 70.3, but I had 100 milligram of caffeine. And I reckon, I couldn't do 850. But
yeah, it's each their own. Everyone's a little bit different. I think I'm going to go slightly more aggressive at Kona for my caffeine strategy.
Like I had 400 on the run portion, so I had 300 at the start of the run. So quickly, I switched it up. I had 300 all in one go though, whereas before I dosed at 300, feeling good after an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have one more, another 100 milligrams, and was feeling great. So that much over a short period did well. In an Ironman, I probably pushed close to Finn. I'd look to do that, but timed.
Yeah. Lads, I'll stop the recording.